Yes, hello, how are you? Welcome back. It's Rowan Hand, your host here on Destination Uri, broadcasting to you across the world. My old scouting pal and boyhood friend, David McCourt, joins me in studio this morning. You're welcome, David.
Thank you very much, Rowan. It's great to be here.
Well, now it's great. Are you still scouting at all?
No, I have an interest, a background interest.
That's
I
good.
leave the scouting to the younger generation,
Well, yes.
and they're making a great job of it.
Well, scouting made a great job of us.
It
Thanks
did
be to
indeed.
goodness. There's no two
We
ways
have-
about it.
We have lots of fond memories.
Fond memories, and it made us what we are. David, we're looking at you've become an author
I have
in your 60 what year?
my 67th year.
You're an
I
author.
have, yes.
And what possessed you to put pen to paper?
Well-
And what is the book that you have created?
The book I've created is called Open Water.
Open Water.
Open Water. It's the story of extreme swimming, and particularly my nephew, Padraig Mallon. Padraig has achieved so much in this last number of years, and there's a lot of sporting activity in my family of various sports, and I thought it should be committed to record,
Yes.
or it will be lost to future generations.
Oh, totally, yeah.
So I have thought long and hard about it, but it's been a year's work, and it's been a wonderful year. I co-wrote it with Padraig.
Yes.
We talked at great length about his adventures,
Yeah.
about his extreme swimming,
Tell-
ice swimming.
Tell me about those adventures. Tell me about extreme swimming. What makes Padraig Mallon special?
Well, Padraig is a special kind of guy. He comes across as a very able-bodied young man. He set himself a lot of hard targets, and his achievement in achieving those hard targets makes a fascinating story.
Right.
And I think I have captured that.
Okay.
I've captured in detail his thoughts about going about them, taking part in them, and his thoughts after he achieved them.
Where did it all start for him, his sporting prowess? Well, are you able to catalogue the first moment he took to the adventure?
I think I have to say that his first moments in sport was with his parents, my sister Bridgine and his father Mickey Mallon. And both of them are very sporting people. And that sport has cascaded down to the family.
Yeah.
And it's been wonderful to see them progress almost in their footsteps.
Yes. My goodness.
Yeah.
So it was in the DNA.
More or less.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever God sent.
Yes.
The provenance is there, straight back to the father and the mother, and. So, were you surprised when all of this started to take off, when you saw your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, all start to develop in the sport?
Well, surprise, yes. But what surprised me more was the quality of their sport and their achievements. What they had set out to do, setting themselves huge targets. So Padraig's first aim was to swim the English Channel.
That was his first aim.
Yeah, but in doing so, he trained himself both in mind and body, and in training mentally, he crossed the Atlantic in a 42-foot yacht. That is a story in itself, and I've covered it in the book.
In the book.
He then went on to swim in the Russian Winter Games and earned himself a bronze medal.
Kind of cold weather stuff, that.
That was really ice swimming,
Yeah.
extreme ice swimming. And what drives a person to do that, Padraig will probably tell you, I don't know yet.
Yeah. Have you found out, being the author of the book?
I have found that Padraig thrives on challenges.
Yeah.
His challenge doesn't necessarily have to be himself, but he thrives in pushing others and bringing others along with him, which I think is part of his quality.
Yeah, I'm looking back on our scouting days. We sort of thrived on challenges because We would arrive at Castle Blaney, Lake Mucknow on the island, and there'd be nothing when we arrived. But by tea time that evening, we would have a camp, we would have tents up, we would have kitchens created, we'd have kitchen dressers built out of sticks.
Indeed so.
We would be cooking, we'd be looking after, we had a biscuit tin as an oven. Like, we did things as well, David.
We did. Yes, in those days, you had yourself and your friends to rely on. Mummy and Daddy was at home, and you were under canvas.
Absolutely.
So, you cooked or you starved.
Can you remember what it was we were required to cook to give us to pass the exam in cooking? Can you remember what we had to cook? I think you might.
I remember that we had a chicken to cook.
You had a chicken, that's interesting.
We also had to make an apple tart.
Oh, I was never into that.
Yes. And
you had a chicken to cook. I had an Irish stew to make.
Yes.
That was it, full stop. And we made it at the top of Benson's Glen.
We did indeed.
Goodness gracious, indeed. Well, the chapters of the book, back to the book and to Pádraig Mallon's adventures. When you set out to write a book about a man like this, it's a challenge to you because you've got to deliver, having started. How did you go about it in terms of getting the ideas together, sitting down? Did you handwrite it? Did you type it? Did you use a keyboard? What?
Yes, my method was simply to talk at length with Pádraig and have him recount his story on a particular subject. And I wrote copious notes as we spoke.
Yes.
I never used the microphone or a recording. And later, from those notes, I hand wrote the story, sitting quietly and simply let the words flow.
Yeah.
Then it was, I typed it and I offered it to my good wife Eileen.
Yes.
And she helped me to formulate the stories and correct it. And from that, it grew.
It was a kind of family effort, wasn't it?
Oh, very much so. Very much so, yes. Yeah.
And the book will be out on Wednesday, isn't that right?
Wednesday the 10th.
The 10th. Now,
yes.
What does it look like? Is it hardback, softback? Is it glossy? What is it?
A glossy book, hardback.
Hardback?
Yeah, no, yeah.
You've done it well.
I have done it well. I thought what's worth doing is worth doing well.
Right.
Another old scouting.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it will be available after the 10th.
Aye. And take us through the chapters. It begins, what's the beginning, the middle and the end, so to speak?
The beginning of the chapter is really about Pádraig growing up in the Green Road and in Bessbrook area.
Yeah. Discovering
Camla Lake.
Yeah.
And his...
What did he tell you about discovering Camla Lake?
Camla Lake, they discovered as young people, young boys playing in the area.
Yeah.
And they first noticed a kayak and a man swimming lengths of Camla Lake.
Thanks.
And later he was to find that man was Peter Legge.
Peter Legge from this parish who swam the English Channel.
He was training to swim the English Channel.
My goodness.
And Pádraig would tell you that the seeds were sown as he watched it as a youngster, which I think is just fabulous.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So did he ever establish contact with Peter Legge?
Oh, Peter and him, yes, they know each other well, yes.
So
yes.
Peter was the beginning of it.
Peter was the beginning of it,
Right.
yes, a wonderful, wonderful achievement.
And is it all swimming that is in the deep heart's core of Pádraig?
No, Pádraig is, I would say, would be an all-rounder. He likes sailing.
Yep.
He would be a man after your own heart.
Yeah.
He is a windsurfer and very good at it. And he enjoys the community.
Yes.
Very, very much into the community in the Camla area and the swimming community. Yes.
He must be very proud to have him as a grandson.
It is a wonderful, wonderful fellow.
Yeah.
Yes, and wonderful to have him.
Because it's so often things can be the other way, but suddenly you've, all the gifts are there from God and all the rest of it. He's there doing his thing,
Yes.
you know.
Well, the book continues into a record of other achievements by other members of my family.
My goodness.
Yes.
Does it never end?
Oh, it does end. It ends
yeah.
magnificently, yes.
But I mean, what are those other, broadly speaking, what are
Well,
those
broadly
other
speaking,
achievements?
my brother Miles also
sure, we know Miles, bless him. Yeah, lovely man.
Miles is a great sportsman himself.
Triathlons come to mind?
Triathlons,
Yeah.
But Miles thrives on other people's achievements.
Yes.
By in bringing on other people.
Yeah.
He would tell you, sir, when someone crosses the line that I have trained to swim, sir, it's like doing it myself.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
surely,
So,
surely.
my sister Bridget is another great swimmer.
Is there
and a
one
great
of them
community.
was in Australia training? No?
Yes, Colleen.
Colleen, yeah.
Padraig's sister.
Yeah.
And very recently, Colleen returned to achieve a solo crossing of the North Irish Channel,
My goodness.
which she did with third fastest time in the world, a new Irish record.
My goodness.
So, as I say,
Fantastic.
extreme swimming, open water is in their blood.
Well, you know, the Warren Point Road and Greenfield Park is in your blood.
Indeed, so.
And that's where Mummy and Daddy brought you up.
Yes, yes.
Now, your father and mother were lovely human beings.
Indeed.
They were gentle, Newry stock. Lovely. Remind us a little bit about your daddy and what he did.
My father, Miles McCourt. Mum was Brady. We lived in Greenwood Drive, number 5 Greenwood Drive. And indeed, my daughter and grandchildren live there now.
Ah, lovely.
Isn't that
lovely?
Yes,
Thank
and
goodness.
we're so proud of that. Daddy was a builder, a builder's foreman.
Yeah.
And he worked in the Newry area all his life.
Hmm.
And he's supervised lots of work in this area. And many of the buildings that stand and estates that stands in Newry as a result of his achievement.
They have his
stamp
fingerprints on
Yes,
it. Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They were old-fashioned values in those times.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. But growing up in the McCourt family in Greenwood Drive was a joy.
Aye.
Particularly Greenwood Drive itself was a mecca for youth because the 28 houses was originally built for young married couples after the war, and with that then there was 28 growing families.
Oh yeah, of course.
At
Yes.
one time, Rowan, there was 108 children in the 28 houses. Now
Marvellous.
that led for a very interesting game of cowboys and Indians.
I'd say it did.
Yes.
I'd say it did. What were Christmases like on Greenwood Drive? We're in the Christmas
We
season
are
now.
indeed, yes.
What were Christmases like on Greenwood Drive?
Christmases were very family orientated thing. We don't remember, say, going out at Christmas with other families. Each family did their own little Christmas.
Yes.
But Santa came.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, he came, and with it he brought lots of toys. As the years went by, when Christmas started in Greenwood Drive, there wasn't a lot because work was scarce and money was tight.
Yes.
But you got your Christmas presents, and you had much delight in the weeks following Christmas in sharing those with other kids around.
Isn't that interesting?
playing.
Sharing was part of your
Yes,
agenda.
It was.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
And where did that come from?
I think the community spirit in Greenwood Drive, and
Yes.
each parent, my parents in particular, were sharing people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then as you grew up, scouting took your interest.
It did.
How did that grab you? And where did the scouting bug get you?
I think my father worked in Carville's.
Yes.
And there was a young man there, called Tave Carroll, and he was a quantity surveyor in Carville's.
Indeed, indeed.
And would visit the sites with my father. And of course, Dad said, I have two boys, Paddy and David, are very interested in the Scouts. And Dave said, right, well, we'll see what we can do. And in the fullness of time, we got to join the Scouts. Now, that was 1956, Rowan.
Yeah.
And that's when I first met you.
It is. What age? I was 44. I was 12.
12. I was
12.
10.
You were 10.
Yeah.
And Scouting formed us in many ways.
It did.
I remember Paddy. Paddy was maybe not long married at the time, but he was fishing down at the canal. Do you know the story I'm going to tell you?
I think I do. Yeah.
A wedding ring.
The wedding ring fell into the canal.
It fell into the canal.
Yeah.
And I was close by, and Paddy had a notion that I could do some things underwater. And it was a small miracle. Talk about loaves and fishes and walking on water. That is nothing on this. But Paddy said, it's down there, it's down there. So I went down and in, and we got the wedding ring.
Yes.
You know the way it is in life? Sometimes you think, did that ever happen? But it did happen.
It did happen, yes.
It did happen.
Yes. His ring fell off while he was
fishing.
And luckily, it fell through the water and landed on a cement block that was sitting above the mud.
Yes.
And you had your diving gear and went in and
we were able to get it.
Spotted it shining in the water. Yes.
Isn't it a great story?
A fishing story, but absolutely fantastic.
A lovely story. That was one that didn't get away.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Stay with me, David. We're going to go for a break and back with you to take us up to the end of the programme.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Destination Newry. We're back in moments.
Advertise your business here. Reach a weekly audience of 275,000 people. Be ahead of the rest. Call Damien on 078 08 80 34 75 or 028 308 34 012.
Kelly's is a well-known and trusted name in home improvement and the building trade. We are committed to bringing you good value by delivering high-quality materials, tools and equipment for trade use and home DIY projects at very competitive prices. At Kelly's, we can help you build your dream home, or why not book your next car service, or even help out your swing with the best golf tuition money can buy. Stock up this winter with great value stoves and boilers. Contact us now on 028 417 736 74 or call in and see us at Milltown East Industrial Estate, Upper Dromore Road, Warrenpoint, Newry. Visit us online, kellys-diy.com. Kelly's, serving the industry since 1997.
You can find a smile in all directions. A million miles away, right by your side. Take a look around you. It's right here for you and
The
me.
Keys Newry, where the journey continues. You've reached your destination.
Yes, we're back again for the last 10 minutes of the programme, and I'm with David McCourt, great Newry man from the Warrenpoint Road, Greenwood. No, it's more than the Warrenpoint Road, it's Greenwood Drive. Warrenpoint Road is blasé, but Greenwood Drive is very special indeed. David's book, Open Water, the stories of the sporting prowess of the McCourt and Mallon families in our area is launched. They launch books on next Wednesday at the Arts Centre, isn't that right?
That is correct.
So we look forward to that. And I just note from the record here, from the press release, Pádraig Mallon was awarded the World Open Water Male Swimmer of the Year by the World Open Water Swimming Association. And this year, 2014, he was inducted into the World Swimmers Hall of Fame. These are mighty achievements.
They are. They are mighty achievements.
Goodness gracious. And to be in the World Swimmers Hall of Fame.
Yes, it is. It is a mighty achievement, as you say.
I know the lad. He's very spiritual in ways. He was in on the program here about a year ago, and I was very impressed because I said, "What do you think about when you're doing these swims?" He has his own mantras. He has his own meditative practices that go on. Yeah.
Yes, he travelled a lot, and in his travels through Cambodia and the East, he connected with Buddhism.
Yeah.
And he was very impressed with the people, their lives and how they lived their lives.
Yes.
And it rubbed off a bit on him. So he is a quiet, unassuming type of guy, and behind that and his achievements, he does the mantra.
He does.
He does, and he would.
And did he take the Buddhism to himself?
Yes, to many degrees he did. Many of the things that he does and the way he speaks often would smack of Buddhism. Yes.
Well, it's one of the great practices of the world, you know, the search for truth and the importance of the beings, the sentient beings of our world.
Yes.
That all of that kind of thing is important to Buddhist people.
I think it makes him a calmer young man.
Yeah.
You know, and he comes across.
How
as
old
that.
is he now?
Pádraig would be 34, 35.
It's amazing that you and I can talk about young men and they're
Oh, yeah.
34 and coming towards 40.
Yes,
Goodness gracious.
yes.
Well, your life has been very strong in itself. It's brought you to write a book in your 66th, 67th year. That's a huge. It's good to do that, David.
Yes, it's something I always wanted to do.
Really, it was but you have another book in you.
I have.
You have the book of scouting in you.
I have a book of scouting. I have. I particularly would like to record and place on record many of the things that we did in the Scouts.
Yeah. What's your best memory of scouting?
I think camping was and the camaraderie among the youth,
Yeah.
the young people.
Did you ever camp at Bellingham?
Yes,
Castle Bellingham.
Castle Bellingham.
Out at Mansfieldstown.
Mansfieldstown. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And did you? There's a very good friend who died in Africa. He was a scout with us, Dan O'Hare.
Dan, I remember.
And Dan camped with us at Castle Bellingham.
He did, yes.
And I remember that so well. Dan went as a teacher to Africa and drowned, and I don't think we ever got his body back.
We didn't.
We
It
didn't.
was
So he
tragic.
rests.
Yeah.
He rests under African skies out there, and that's it. That's he was from the Meadow. George O'Hare was his father, George, and his lovely mummy. And George was a person of the Knights of Malta.
That's correct.
His
Yes.
Dan's
yes.
father. So, what was special about camping for you?
I think it was the fact that you were, although you were with a group of other boys, the challenge was there for yourself to do what had to be done to almost to survive, if you wanted to put it.
It was an
like
adventure.
It was the adventure and the camaraderie, and being with a group of like-minded people.
People, yeah. At Bellingham, we mentioned in Mansfieldstown, we learned to swim there.
We did.
Do you remember the river?
I do.
Way at the bottom of the campsite. And in that river, we used we'd put a rope across the river, down current, down river towards the ocean, towards the sea, and we'd go 400 or 500 yards upriver, maybe a couple of hundred yards upriver. Do you remember?
I do.
And we'd dog paddle our way down the river and end up in the rope it would get us. There's no health and safety then, me boy.
No, very little.
But we did very well. And I remember the tents we used. They were black Skara tents. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Icelandics as well were in there.
Yes.
Goodness gracious. I met in the middle of Africa, I have it on an interview I did with him, a priest of the SMA order. Father Tom. And Tom, one of the lines he said about Africa, he says, Rowan, in Africa, you can be a Boy Scout forever. That's a bit of it, you know.
Yes.
The business of the adventure of being a scout. Can you remember the scout law?
I couldn't repeat it, but you could.
Well, we'll try
Yes,
it.
yeah.
Loyal, and think about it as we're doing it. This
Yeah.
is the scout law that made us as we are. Whether we're that or not is
Yes,
for other
I know.
people to judge, but that's where we are.
Yes.
Loyal, trustworthy, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, brave, pure, and what else? And something about bearing God's glory in mind. That was all that. That was in there. And then the famous Scout's prayer, which anyone could build their life around if you so chose to do it, is, Dearest Lord, teach me to be generous, to love and serve you as you deserve, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wounds, to toil and seek for no reward, except that of knowing that I'm doing what you want me to do. Amen. Something like that.
Yes, that's it.
People live their lives according to that, it'd be all right.
Yeah, wouldn't they? Yes.
There wouldn't be a thing wrong with the world at all. Yeah. But scouting goes well now, and as you say, there's a book of scouting in you. And Porrig will be there on Wednesday night himself.
He will indeed.
He'll
Yes,
be there,
he'll
and
be
he'll be
there.
talking.
And he'll say a few words, yes.
So the next thing we'll do on the programme here, David, is next week, maybe Thursday morning of next week, maybe we'll get Porrig in onto the programme.
Wouldn't that be good?
And let him talk straight from the horse's mouth, as they say, which would be good. Do you remember the day on the scout camp, and this is the final scout story as we come to an end, the day of the accident in the finger? How did that happen?
I think in a moment when we weren't abiding by the rules, I put my hand across
You were
when the guy
chopping a
was
piece of
chopping.
wood?
I was, and cut
And did
my
you chop
finger.
it yourself?
Yes, yeah. So there you go. It was.
But yours all right.
It was. Oh yes.
Yours, life takes us on.
Yes.
And I fell out of, were you at the camp in Rush? I fell out of the tree and broke my wrist.
No, I wasn't
No,
at that
that
camp.
was
no.
Rush.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
So scouting is good, and life is good, and swimming is good, and open water is there for us.
Yes.
And that's Wednesday of next week.
Wednesday the 10th.
The 10th, the book, Open Water, on the exploits of the Mallon and McCourt families in the world of sporting challenge, will be made public, will be launched in the Arts Centre in Newry. Suppose what, 7:30?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Yes.
Come along, you can buy your book, you can have the author sign the book, all of that will be there for you. And next week we'll have Porrig himself in studio, we'll talk to him. David McCourt,
Thank you, Rowan.
God bless you. You're a good
pleasure.
man.
Thank
It's
you.
been a joy knowing this man all of my life. The world is a better place for David McCourt. Good man, David, and welcome.
Thank you, Rowan.
And we'll see you again next week.
God bless.